In a world where entertainment is viewed as mindless diversion, only good for momentary distraction, you are about to enter a new world, and you will never view entertainment in the same way again. This is Popcorn Theology.
Welcome, movie lovers and theology nerds, to Popcorn Theology, where we examine films for where they align with the greatest story and our greatest storyteller, discussing what to receive, reject, and redeem for common ground, fruitful conversation, and mindful movie consumption. I'm Eric Sean, and I'm going with my middle name today because this is a very Irish film. So I'm Eric Sean for this episode.
And I'm Miles Wallace, proudly about the most Scottish name you can think of.
About to say, it's kind of Gaelic, right, I guess? I don't know. But
it's very similar. I kept wanting Rory to get on because it sounds, to an American, the accents sound close enough to Scottish. I'm like, I need him to translate some of this for me.
Yeah, and so we are going to be looking today at Waking Ned Devine. And so this actually was nominated and chosen by the patron saints for this month. If you're listening to this, we are releasing this on St. Patty's Day. So, what is it? Slainte?
I don't know.
Some perfect Guinness. Absolutely love it. So, yeah, for St. Patty's Day, we decided to cover an Irish film or films about Ireland or Irish culture. And the patron saints came up with Waking Ned Devine, which... Miles,
I was surprised.
I'm going to go ahead and steal one of your things. You said it looks like it was made in 1998, but looks like 1988.
Yes, I thought it was older.
I didn't know that when I first saw this, quote unquote, as a 10-year-old. I didn't know I saw it when it was new. I thought it was an old film.
The year after this was Phantom Menace, Matrix, even Fight Club and stuff, and it felt 1988. I thought, what a fun old movie I've never heard about. Wait a second, 1998?
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a lot older. And so this is directed by Kirk Jones, starring Ian Banning as Jackie O'Shea and David Kelly as Michael O'Sullivan. And those are really the two main characters. There's some other characters out here and stuff that you can do, but it's really the Jackie and Michael show with this. And for those that are kind of Jackie, or the guy who plays Michael, I should say, David Kelly, he's actually the grandfather in the Tim Burton Willy Wonka film.
Oh!
Yeah. I was looking at it, I was like, I wonder what else this guy did. And I pulled it up. I was like, oh, dang.
I thought I recognized him from somewhere. Yeah.
Excellent. And so I'll go ahead and do the synopsis, but I'll start it with the way that the movie actually starts. This is Saturday evening, and the universe is much the same as at any other point in the history of the world. The planets and stars orbit and spin and do everything that is expected of them. On Earth, as the sun sets, millions prepare for a weekly event that is much less predictable. In 63 countries around the world, probably a lot higher now, dozens of lottery machines spin hundreds of lottery balls. It takes seconds for the winning numbers to be selected, seconds for the losers to realize they've lost. But for the winners, it is an event that will undoubtedly change their lives forever. Lucky sods. I love that. I love
little
that
moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what the movie taps into.
Yes, exactly.
Is what happens to us when we think of lottery.
Exactly. And so the actual plot is when friends Jackie O'Shea and Michael O'Sullivan discover someone in their small Irish village has won the lottery, they immediately set off to see if the winner's in a sharing mood. They deduce that Ned Devine is the lucky man. So O'Shea and O'Sullivan pay him a visit, only to find out that Ned has died from shock when he found out about the lottery. So since Devine is the only one who can claim the prize, the townsfolk all band together to convince the claim inspector that O'Sullivan is really Devine, and they all split the cash. And so with that, we'll go ahead and go to some light spoiler-free thoughts. Initially, if this was a 1988 film, I would be like, yeah, no, but I mean, this film is only almost 30 years old, not almost 40 years old. So, yeah, so we'll still do spoilers for that. So, Miles, stale, fresh, buttered, and salted. What are you going with?
I mean, for me, it's barely fresh. I mean, there's some real charm to it. It's fresh. It's charming. The music, I mean, maybe because I'm Scotch Irish, it's really bagpipes and the flute and everything was nice. The shots that they have of the Irish coast are great. The fiddles, yeah, which is a violin with a smile, and just super Irish movie. I mean, in terms of the theme that we asked the patron saints to choose, it was really Irish. I mean, so Irish that the accents were so thick, I had a difficult time understanding it. I watched this on YouTube, which, by the way, you can go watch this on. It's available on YouTube.
Yeah, someone put it up there, and YouTube hasn't taken it down.
Even though YouTube, yeah. So, okay. But the sad thing was you couldn't turn on subtitles, which I almost went and paid for it to get the subtitles because it's really hard to figure out sometimes what was going on. But it was great. It was part of the charm of this movie. You felt like you really were dropped into an Irish village of 50 people. Yeah. And you leave the movie in a good mood. But the way I'll describe it, though, is that it was like sometimes in the Bible when a prophet is like, eat this scroll. It's sweet like honey to the taste, but then sits in your stomach and rots a little bit. And so I'm getting ready to kind of tear into this movie, even though I can acknowledge it's charming. The acting was great, and it's a fun watch, and there's some really silly comedic moments in it. But what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm going with that same barely fresh. It's got a certain charm to it. You're right about that. It's got a certain charm to it that you don't want to knock it, right? You don't want to be like, oh, this thing and that thing is like, but it wasn't like you could start to notice its flaws. I will say it's absolutely at least worth one watch. Yeah. I technically have seen this twice. Like I said, I think I was 10 or 11, something like that, when Dad rented it on VHS back in the day. And I remember I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. So I've seen the poster for years, them all Slainte, all doing the Slainte to
even
Ned Devine.
Kid.
Even the kid at the... Well, it is Ireland, man.
It's Ireland. There's no rules.
There's no rules. Yeah. So it was... But at the end of it was fun. Like,
yeah.
Even when I was noticing, like, some of the messaging, I'll just put it that way, I was still smiling. It was fun. The music, the scenery, all was fantastic. I do agree it was difficult to understand with the accents. But really, by the end of the film, the second half of the film, I was kind of used to it. I also, too, watched it on YouTube. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. But, I mean, it was I don't know if it was a sleeper hit or it was a surprise hit, really. It earned $50 million on a $3 million budget.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this film clearly resonated with people. Like, it clearly resonated with people. Obviously, it resonated enough with the patron saints to want us to cover it, right? Or remember that it exists, right? Because that's kind of one of the other things. Because there were some good contenders. Yeah.
I don't know about you. I had never even... I watch a lot of movies.
Well, like I said, heard of it. I knew it existed because I saw it, quote unquote, when I was a child. Yeah. Probably younger than the boy in this film is when I first saw it. And so so it doesn't. The pacing is kind of interesting. Like it was meant to be a 10-minute film or a short film, and they stretched it out into however long, but. I mean, really, there's a lot of plot. There's not a lot of plot, I should say. There's not a lot of plot, and it doesn't really get going until about the 30 to 40-minute mark. A lot of it's just setting the stage. I don't even think they find out that Ned Devine is dead and then come up with the plan until the 30 or 40 mark.
That's a fun part of the movie, is when they know somebody in their village won.
But
and they're all playing cat and mouse, and their interactions with people where they're trying to figure it out, and they're kind of being two-faced friends and stuff. Yeah. It's very fun, and almost certainly why this movie is enjoyable to people is that you can imagine what it would be like to be kind of half interrogating your friends and stuff.
trying to do elicitation, trying to get them to elicit.
Are you going on vacation?
Yeah, are you going on vacation anytime soon? Yeah, that was great. I did think that was great. Yeah. So switching over, shifting gears to go to the theology side, is rated diluted, carbonated, cup runneth over. What are you looking at, Miles?
Yeah, I'd say carbonated. It's not empty, but it's almost all of my thoughts gravitated toward Proverbs. It's a good study of humanity, and so you have a exploration of greed, exploration of friendship, and community, and so it's okay, but it's not super thick. I think we'll be able to get through it kind of fast, clipping through it, but it connects. It's a deeply human movie, which ends up being theological because we're image bearers. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of similar, barely carbonated there. I could probably squeeze out a Jesus juke or two in there, but it would be...
I saw it in your notes. I was like, don't do that one, man. Don't do that.
I was stretching. We'll see.
Exactly.
What about you, man?
So I'm going with carbonated as well. Not nitro carbonated like a Guinness, but just regular carbonated. Because of the one question it really asks is it okay to defraud the government even if the whole village would benefit at the end? That's really the kind of the question throughout the film. And and so with that, I think it gets a carbonated just because of the exploration of that and the conversations that can be taken from that jumping off point. So it's not quite. I mean, it really is. Yeah, maybe two note, right? The subplot with the single mother. So it really could be a two note type of film, but really there's one main theme, and it's about, hey, what do we do to get one over on either the government, or we'll talk about the whole lottery system once we get back from the break. Oh yeah. But so let's go ahead and we'll do some of our promo stuff. We'll do this real quick. I want to encourage everyone to like and share. Send this episode to anyone. You have anyone that's probably like in their 50s or 60s. They probably saw this when it was a new movie. Just send it to them. It's like, hey, here's a movie you links. Probably you can
send them both the movie and the podcast link on YouTube.
Yeah, I was about to say, honestly, $3 million to $50 million. A lot of people saw this movie. And so, I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, send it to people. There's certainly some people out there. I'll be sending this to my dad for sure. But yeah, we want to hear from you guys. One of the things that we love the most is honestly the interaction. We love it when people comment. We love it when people do all the stuff. Facebook, Instagram, Discord. Doesn't matter. We just love the engagement because it sharpens us. It is iron sharpening iron. Rate and review wherever you listen. Encourage you to become a patron saint. You can start off as a free member, see the different posts, but encourage you to donate a couple dollars a month, become a patron saint. It gives you special access to a whole host of exclusive benefits, including the special Facebook group, a channel within the public Discord server, and you can vote on future episodes. And for premium seating members, you get special early access episodes. Right now, David has recorded the entire Harry Potter series, and he is releasing them maybe once a month. I haven't looked at the schedule to see the exact breakdown. But, so currently, all of them are recorded, and all of them are available immediately to all the premium seating members. And so definitely something you want to want to get. And so with that, I'll go ahead and drop the ads, and then we'll be right back.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane!
Cinemagog, The Marvelous Era. James Harleman here, the cinema guy, announcing the sequel to my first book on film and faith. Let's face it, entertainment has changed dramatically since the first book published in 2012, and comic book characters and franchises are everywhere. So I decided to set my sights on superheroes and examine the evolution of Hollywood in this follow-up to the first Cinemagog book. For example, what does Loki tell us about culture's view of God? Why does the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Infinity Saga continually align with biblical themes? In the Marvelous Era, I review each film and show not only how the individual movies express gospel parallels, but each phase essentially reveals a multi-point sermon. I also explore DC, Star Wars, the Monsterverse, and more. Without compromising scriptural truth, we can sift these stories and discover how we might reject, receive, and redeem ideas for personal reflection and Christian conversation. Also, has Hollywood's messaging gotten worse? The book explores ways these marvelous mythologies correspond with conversion, Christian living, church history, and Reformation, but I do also highlight what has been the entertainment industry's darker, indoctrinating decade, as well as toxic fandom and the dangers of immersion in pop culture that just might drown us spiritually if we're not careful. So suit up, assemble, and join me on a journey to the Infinity Saga and beyond. Cinemagogue, the Marvel Us Era. Now available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle editions.
And we're back, dropping a spoiler warning as we dig deeper into Waking Ned Devine. All right, there is that famous popcorn sound. I should be playing a popcorn. Maybe I'll try to do it in post, the popcorn and the soda at the same time, because we're going to flow a little bit quicker and kind of meld the popcorn and the theology all in together. So there's not like defined points. I think we'll probably go back and forth with some of our points and stuff. So Miles, why did you wear fresh and carbonated, but both are kind of on the border. So kind of tell us why.
Well, yeah, it's hard. You and I were talking about this. Just our thoughts are kind of blended together. I'll start off very well acted. I don't mean to throw any shade at this movie, but there's so much about it. You know, the lottery is tantalizing. I mean, I probably once every couple of weeks I think, you know, if I won the lottery, I would do X, I would do Y. But really, when it gets down to it, I don't like the lottery, and this movie illustrates half of the reason why. One is political and one is moral. One, this movie shows the lottery cultivates vice in people. In particular, it cultivates vice usually in the lower class. Two, the lottery is a government scam. I call it just the poor tax. You know, and the Bible agrees with me. You know, Proverbs, I got 3 Proverbs for this. You know, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. Proverbs 13:11. Then Proverbs 20:21 says, an inheritance gained hastily in the beginning will not be blessed in the end.
Yeah.
I kind of wish there was a sequel for after this movie to see what happens. Proverbs 28:20 says, a faithful man will abound with blessing, but whoever hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. And so the lottery in this movie, part of the reason why it's so relatable is that the chance at some money, at some quick money, brings out terrible and kind of funny aspects of the people in this flick.
Yeah.
I just it's why it's relatable and funny, but also kind of horrible. It immediately perverts some of their relationships. And I've kind of wrestled as a pastor about I live near Reno, Nevada, where gambling is legal. You go to the gas station and there's slot machines in the gas station. And it's like, I think it's so foolish. But I can't 100% say, you know, like black and white, it's a sin, but it's pretty bad. And there's one verse that I'm challenged with. It's Proverbs 16:33 says, the lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. And if I was a gambling addict, I would say, you see, I won because the Lord wants me to.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't start then, yeah. But no, it is that tantalizing aspect of the lottery, and it's not just there's a rush to it, and so the most I've ever won on scratchers, coworker and I back in the day, we would split our tips, and we were at a country store, we wouldn't get a lot of tips, so we would split our tips, and if it was not an even split, we'd bank it for the next time, or we'd buy a $1 scratcher. So we'd scratch it. So like the most I think we ever won was like $14. And so it was like, sweet, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's a $14 win. You kind of get a little rush, but it still is like, I know we probably spent over $50 over the 2 years that we did that with each other to win $14 and get that rush.
And and then just to go a little bit more broadly, to get on a little bit of a political soapbox here.
Yeah.
That rush that you might win the lottery, the Bible says it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? It's an inheritance gained hastily in the beginning will not be blessed in the end. And we've known this for thousands of years, yet still our government says, this is a good idea. How about your government turns into a casino?
Yep.
That's what we'll do. My parents helped me out with this. They called it a poor tax. Because just get this. When you buy your lottery ticket, it all goes into a pool, right? No. 30 to 50% of that goes to the government automatically. You get to be taxed at 50% rate. The whole pool gets taxed at 50% rate just for the privilege of being able to have a 1 in a billion chance or whatever it is to win, especially those big mega lottery. And then, if you happen to be the one who wins, which is it's like being struck by lightning 2-3 times type of statistics for the mega lottery, the people who win those big mega lotteries, they're immediately moved from, typically it's somebody who's in the poorest quintile, who's not actually paying taxes. They're actually receiving money from the government. But what the government is effectively doing is taking money usually from the poorest, maybe the bottom 2 quintiles are most likely to pay to play the lottery. And it's bumping that pool of money up into the highest quintile and taxing them at 30, 40%. And so ultimately, the lottery money, who wins? The government gets like 70% of all of the money eventually, either through taxes or through the fees. Yeah.
Everyone talks about wealth transfer payments and stuff like that from the poor to the rich, and it's like no, the lottery is wealth transfer payments from the poor to the poor and the government. It's like the government through the taxation of the winnings. They get it all, and it's the poor are the ones that are funding this. Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, and even someone who's not rich, myself, we're not buying these things.
Nope.
It's
a bad investment, right?
Yeah,
it's
a terrible investment.
And like my friends who have played the lottery regularly have always been from my lower class friends.
Yeah.
And they play. I tell them, if you would just invest that money, just that same amount of money you spend each month, just throw it in an IRA. You will win the lottery later on. And so it's so bad. It cultivates vice, and it's a government scam, turning the government into a casino. On top of that, I talked about this movie with my dad yesterday, and he said, on top of that, it creates government jobs, which is another handful of people who are being paid by your taxes and who will vote for the lottery in order to keep their jobs. It's like this whole administration, the guy who went to the town. Mm-hmm. So, with that, I might be inclined to stick it to the man.
Yeah.
When it comes to lottery, it's okay to defraud them. Like, to your question, what's this movie about? It asks the question: is it okay to defraud the government if you're generous with your neighbors with the money?
Exactly.
And so ultimately, this is why the popcorn and theology points are mixed for me. Is because this movie makes you feel good. If you want to stick it to the man, if you want to redistribute wealth, if you say, yeah, friends, if I won the lottery, I would just spread it among my whole town. If I could only use some money to resolve my romantic problems because I'm a pig farmer, wouldn't that be nice? To Ned Devine, right?
Yep.
And it's like, wait a second. What this movie is actually arguing is that it's okay to defraud and steal if you spread the money equally. It's a socialistic kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
What if we could rob from the rich and give to the poor? And just take this. The villain of the movie is it Lizzie? No, she was.
Yeah, Lizzie.
She's a nasty looking person, nasty attitude, but she was the one who was actually being lawful. She could have turned them in and taken 10% and still had 680,000 pounds. She could have distributed 13,000 pounds to everybody in town while Jackie goes to jail, right? Yeah. And she's the villain. And what does the movie do to her? It casts her off of the cliff, right? It's funny.
She went against the collective.
She went against the...
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
I mean, really...
Yeah, but I'll say this though is the idea of the socialism fantasy though is like, oh, this is a great example, and we talked about this before we got started. So no, it's a decent example of charity, right? Of people coming together, there's this giant pile of money and charitably distributing it among each other. But it's actually, for where the funds are coming from, it's actually in an actual true socialist society, all of those people would be in jail and would be executed because they stole from the actual collective,
the government,
which is the government. The government is the one who is actually the collective that everyone is a part of. Your individual village is not where socialism resides and lives.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have your village for your village. Your village is supposed to be thinking about the whole of the country and the whole of society. I mean, if you're going to go the true route, you're supposed to be thinking globally. The idea of local charity actually gets in the way of true socialism. Because
so
we
the question, like, okay,
we need the systems that capitalism we need the systems that capitalism that makes charity necessary. We need those systems to fall apart. So if you're doing charity, you're actually very anti-socialistic. Because we need those systems to break down for the revolution to actually come about. So the people who say things like that don't understand socialism very well, and they definitely don't understand charity very well if they think defrauding the government therefore equals charity.
So there's our popcorn politics thing. But really, I watched a couple quick reviews. Siskel and Ebert thought, it's a feel-good comedy for the ages, right? I listened to their review.
For the ages?
Or I don't know, just like, if you're going to go to this movie in 1998. I'm like, really? Because it just sat so poorly with me. And like, think about Jesus says to love your neighbor. And then what's the question? Well, who is my neighbor?
Yeah.
This movie answers, you know who my neighbor is? It's the 52 people in my village at the expense of my neighbors in all of Ireland. And so you're like, it's wrong for Jackie O'Shea and Michael O'Sullivan to take the money for themselves, but it's okay if it's 52 of us.
Yes.
But what about the other people that you're effectively defrauding? And it's just the movie. It's the difference between in English class. I remember saying the difference between the mood of a writing and its tone. The mood is how it makes you feel. The tone is what its attitude toward the subject matter is. And so the mood at the end, waking to Ned Devine.
Mood at the end. To Ned Devine. Yep.
But I was like, wow, you killed the person who was being honest. I mean, they didn't intentionally kill it, but the plot killed Lizzie, even if she's a nasty person. And ultimately, this all kind of covered up your lies, and you all got away with it. But you're feeling good because, you know what, you were very warm and generous and equitable with your community. And I saw reviews about this. It's got like a 98 or something like that. I was going to say,
niceness goes a long way. And it's kind of from, I know people, I don't like the term winsome anymore. And that's mostly because people are illiterate and they don't actually know how to use the English language. And so they double down on things. And it's like, dude, like, stop being gay. Just use the word winsome. It was like, it's a great word. Stop being all butthurt about it. But there's a lot to be said about being like winsome. These people are doing an objectively illegal act and an objectively bad thing. Like, it's breaking the eighth commandment straight up.
Yep.
But they're so winsome and so fun in how they do it that we don't even realize how bad what they did, how bad it was until the movie's over. Or we're several hours removed from it. And so they're like, being winsome wins you so much.
And here's the thing.
Being likable, do it.
Here's the thing that gets me is that this money corrupts almost all of them. So Michael O'Sullivan,
instantly.
It's like Jackie's wife. What was it? Annie O'Shea. O'Shea is saying, Mike, he's never told a lie in his life. He's like, he's making up for it now. It's funny, a really funny line. But it's like, that money corrupted you through your friendship. And then here's the thing that also gets me.
At that point, they didn't even realize it was $6 million.
Yeah,
they just thought it was 500,000.
500,000 pounds. Now, the thing that gets me about this movie is there was actually a legitimate way for all of them to share the money.
Yep.
If Maggie had just told the truth about who she had been sleeping with and who she produced a kid with, she could have taken 6.9 million pounds, and she could have on her own distributed it to everybody. She said 130,000 was enough, but she wanted to maintain a lie, covering up the truth that, Maurice was Ned Devine's son, so that she could marry Pig Finn, right? So that it's more important to have a father than to be obscenely rich. Sounds like a really good motive, a good lesson.
It's absolutely true.
Like that's a true thing, but why was she could have made that choice all along. The problem is that she couldn't deal with the smell of pigs. And I was just like, at the end of the movie, I said, wow, Maggie, she really is beautiful, but she is not virtuous.
Nope.
She's not virtuous. She's been
not
sleeping
Proverbs
around.
31 woman. Nope.
Not at all. And I just
I think it's a Proverbs 6 woman.
yeah. She apparently was sleeping with enough people that they didn't know who the father was. Right? So apparently she was sleeping with Ned Devine and Pig Finn and maybe somebody else around the same time because Pig Finn thought that it might be his son too. Wow. And then she stuck up. She won't live with the pigs, even though she loves this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Even though he's willing to he's trying to cover up the smell with the soaps and everything. And then she's lying to her son this whole time about who her father was, or who his father was. And it's like, if she had just told the truth about this part of her life, she could have taken all the money and distributed it, and I wouldn't have as much of a problem. I would have actually been pretty happy with that.
Well, it'd be actual charity in that case. Yeah. There would be no fraud. There'd be nothing bad. It's the son's by right. By the law says, it's his. He's the inheritor. He's the only family.
Yeah.
It's his. But because she wanted to live in the lie, because she didn't want to risk the embarrassment, didn't want to risk losing the guy she didn't love enough to even marry because of the pigs.
Yeah.
She now risked losing him. She was going to go with the other guy until the money showed up.
Yeah, she was about to go with the other suitor. It's so bad. I mean, really, it tastes good on the tongue, but when it sinks down and you think about it, I thought, this is awful. This is awful. And the movie resolves some other things. Like Jackie starts off really selfish, and his big moral transformation is, I don't want to keep it all for myself. That was wrong. I should share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Cool. But, in all of this, I was like, this plot seems kind of familiar, a big casino win that helps people. And I went back, and I remember this from Vegas Vacation, which actually came out the year before this. And Vegas Vacation did this plot better than they did. So at the end of Vegas Vacation, is it Walt? Is he what does Chevy Chase play? I can't remember. Oh, he loses all of their family money.
Okay.
He maxes. He their college fund, everything, and they get just a few dollars.
Clark Griswold.
Clark Griswold. I'm sorry. I'm going to eat those words by somebody. I should have known. But Clark, he loses everything, and then they come and they play. I think is it Keno? And they sit next to this old guy who looks actually a lot like Michael O'Sullivan. And the guy says, if I had a family, I wish it had been like yours. It's just this lonely guy who plays this all the time. And they say, you know what? Tonight, you can be part of my family. And they're in this low moment. They're poor. They've lost everything. And they got one last hope. And they sit. And they lose terribly. But he looks and he counts and he goes, I won the money. I won. And he dies. Right then. And he even kind of he passes out and they look at the ticket like they're going to switch it, and he even kind of wakes up and whispers in his ear and then dies again. It's hilarious. And that's how they get out of the plot. But it was like this very warm thing of even in the midst of being poverty, you could be family with somebody. Yep. It's their family Vegas Vacation. And they did it better than this plot in about 10 minutes. And I was just I've seen this before. And then when I look back, I said, that was the year before this movie came out. They did it better, and they did it before. Anyway, I didn't want to just beat up on this movie all over the place. Yeah. But really, I can't think of my popcorn or my theology thoughts without just going, oh, it just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. They killed the honest people, and they walked triumphantly away, and they didn't learn their lessons, and they lived in lies. And they got away with it. And Siskel and Ebert, it's great. It's terrible moral formation, still a lot of fun. And that is, I think, enough for me to turn the floor back over. What are your popcorn thoughts? I know I ran with this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, it's honestly very similar. We were on the same a lot of the same wavelength and stuff like that. So a lot of what Miles already talked about, that's why I went with kind of that quasi-fresh and carbonated. Okay. Again, it was originally meant to be a 10-minute short film, and you can tell. I mean, there isn't a lot of plot to this, so they work to fill it in with the other side characters and the music and the scenery, which is great. And I need to look into to see if the actual scenery, but mostly everything was actually shot on the Isle of Man and not Ireland. So if you like the scenery, it may be the Isle of Man and not Ireland. Just check it out before you go to it. From I'm just talking about the popcorny side, but yeah, Jackie and Michael, they played very convincing, deep friends. They have a great friendship. Yeah. While Jackie, he is absolutely the leader of the two. He is looking out for Michael, and he's actually sincere with it. He doesn't. When he's going around thinking someone won the lottery, he instantly brings Michael into it. He could have not done it. He could have continued to do it. By himself, he could have come up with all the plan. But when he does come up with the plan, Michael's always included. And I thought that was a great picture of friendship. And at the end of the day, too, like he even says, granted, he's not doing the right thing, right? But it's a good picture of friendship. He's willing to fall on his sword if it comes down to it.
That was the one virtuous
the one
moment.
Redeeming thing is like if it's 52, it was like if it's not unanimous, I'll go to Dublin and I'll go to prison or go do whatever it is that's necessary. And so that to me is like that would have been the right thing to do. And I would say there's something to be said about doing the right thing, but for the wrong reasons, right? So Lizzie, the witch, she was going to report on the village because of selfish ambition. Yeah, like she did the math, like, and that's partly one of the reasons. Like, so when she does die, why we feel nothing for her is because she did go against everyone else.
Your heart
selfishly.
Matters. Yeah, I mean
selfishly.
That's a good point. She was selfish.
She wasn't the little old church lady who was standing by her morals, right?
Yeah.
She wasn't that person. She did the math and then asked for more than the 10%. So she did the math of like, hey, the 10% is 600 and some, so give me $1 million. She wasn't even charitable in that regard, right? Hey, finder's fee is 10%, give me 10%. Yeah. It was like, no, I want 10% plus.
Yeah.
And so like even within that, there's something to be said about even if you do the right thing at the end, and Miles, you'll probably see this with your son stuff too. It's like, he'll do the right thing, but he'll still get in trouble. It's like, why did I get in trouble? I did the right thing. Well, because you did it from selfish ambition, or you did it from being a tattletale. That's why people don't like tattletales. It's like, are you supposed to tell dad that so and so was, I say running with scissors. That's a bad thing. So and so lied about about this and that, and you're like, was it the right thing to do? Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, like, don't be a tattletale. It's a fine line. It's a fine line, but yeah.
This morning I was preaching about Ephesians 4:11 through 16, and that's where you need to share the truth in love with one another. And the truth is that a lot of times people are hitting somebody with the truth, but it's really to display your own moral superiority or to highlight their sin, as opposed to, I want to share the truth with you so that you can become more Christ-like. Yeah. And those are two very different things. And so you're right. Lizzie was doing the correct, legal, theoretically moral thing, but we don't like her because she's mean and selfish. Whereas the other people were defrauding.
Yeah, they're doing the wrong thing, but they're likable.
For a nice motive, at least.
Yeah, for a nice motive, right? Yeah, for a nice motive. They all 51 people. I mean, get 51 people to all come together for basically, so in today's equivalent funds, £300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like get all of them to come to. Yeah, maybe you can do that, right? But there's got to be someone with morals, and I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah. So Miles, I'm glad you mentioned Maggie though, because Miles, I didn't put that together. About if she had been honest, then everyone in the village could have still had everything, but it would have all been legal. Yeah. And again, so it's like this is another character that she's doing the right thing, i.e., wanting her child to have a father, but for all of the wrong reasons. Yeah. And I'm willing to bet in situations like this, obviously, it's hard to say, but in real life situations like this, I'm willing to bet that all blows up in their face in about a decade. Yeah. That's something like that where Maurice, Pigpen guy.
Pig Finn, I think is
Pig
his name.
Finn, yeah, Pig Finn.
Pig Finn, yeah.
Yeah, that at some point he'd figure it out.
Yeah.
Or someone would slip something, or something would happen, or they
it's
get a genetic...
It's an Irish village.
Yeah.
You're telling me that at some point, those people don't take the 130,000 pounds, get drunk somewhere, and tell the truth about what they did?
Well, I was just talking about the paternity side of it, where he eventually figures out that no, this kid is not mine. And so I mean, there's times where it's like we'll watch certain shows, and I'll point out to Calvin like certain characters that we'll be watching, whether it's Friends, Modern Family, Community, The Office, like any of those, where I'll just point out certain characters and go, Calvin, don't marry that type of woman. And Maggie is very much of a woman I would point out and go, she's pretty, but don't marry her. That's not the type of girl that you marry. You were bringing up the
Proverbs 31 woman. Yeah. What I think about my wife is that she's the opposite. Proverbs 31 warns. It says, charm is deceitful and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So Maggie is charming. She's pretty, but she doesn't fear the Lord in these decisions. And so it's one of those things. I was rooting for her until the truth started to come out.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, morally, you stink like you've been living with the pigs.
Yeah.
And maybe your hope would be somebody who looks past that. But you can't look past the literal pigs, the means by which this guy would be willing to support you, to love you, and to love your son that's not his. He's willing to do that, but you can't get over the smell of the pigs. And it just like, boy, I was like, this is terrible. She's really terrible. And they portray it almost like a hero. Like, why did you get the happy ending? This movie is almost not a comedy. It's almost a tragedy in my view.
And that's the thing. Like, there isn't a single character in this entire film that is innocent.
Yeah.
But all of them are likable, so it just makes up for it in the mind of the audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my whole point about the whole Winsome thing is. Like, stop fighting against Winsome. Winsome wins more than being a quote-unquote a Boniface, even though Boniface was actually very winsome. It's just that one time that everyone wants to highlight when he chopped down the tree. He was like, but he also put down his sword and allowed himself to be martyred years later. So pick your Boniface, right? And so also, this is the other angle, and I think he kind of talked about it a little bit. Because of the quote-unquote rigged nature of the lottery, people don't generally care if you rip it off.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the only people who have ever got upset about lottery scammers are the government officials. I think everyone else just wishes it was them. Right? At the end of the day, it's like, hey, how come you didn't let me in on that? Right?
Is it John and Marge Go Large?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I know there's a film out there.
It's
I know
good.
There's a film out there starring Bryan Cranston.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay, that's what you're thinking about. Where it's people scamming the lottery system.
It's Jerry and Marge Go Large. That one's a fun movie. If you want something that makes you feel like this movie does, but is better morally, and this one is he actually kind of figures it out. So he's got the kind of cleverness.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, and I'll kind of say this: if there's a flaw in the lottery system and you figure it out, like if it's actually so here in Virginia. Casinos aren't legal, kind of. What we have are called skill-based games. So they have to be a little bit different. They're like computer games, things like that, and they're called skill-based. It's gambling at the end of the day. Yeah. But it's a higher chance or higher probability of winning. And so I kind of would say that would be the fine line. Like, if you're using a legitimate game theory or a legitimate something like that was built into the system and you're winning that way, okay. Like, but it's when you cross over the line and do something illegal like this, where that's where it gets to that. But I agree with everything you said at the top about the lottery in general. It's
that's why I feel a little conflicted, is because I wouldn't mind the government lottery system getting it stuck to them a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, but just because they're doing something wrong in this sense doesn't mean that I can support these guys.
It's kind of one of those things. I want the government lottery system to get scammed so much that it crumbles and it ends.
Or I guess it's, you know what,
where when people are winning, where the house wins 60% of the time, right? The people could win 60% of the time. They would shut the lottery down.
Well, I grew up in a town where there were casinos, and my dad would just tell me when I was a kid, kind of like you were talking about with Calvin. He looked at the building and he says, they don't build them that big because people come and win. It's because they lose. And it's like, and I don't mind. Or it's like, as a Christian, like when it comes to taxes, like I'm pretty conservative. I want smaller government, less taxes. But when tax time comes, I pay what I owe. Yeah. It's my duty to the government as a good Christian man to pay my taxes. On the other hand, I wouldn't mind if a bunch of the system just disappeared, right? Because of the fraud, and the lottery system just totally angers me, and nobody sees it. It's like this movie where it looks like it's this wonderful thing where people get a chance to have a life-changing moment. Meanwhile, 60-70% of it just goes to the government. Yeah. And
that's not even that. So like I watched. So when I worked at the country store for 2 years before I went into banking. When I was there, I saw many people blow hundreds of dollars on scratchers. Yeah, hundreds in a row. I saw one guy. He had his paycheck, and he walked up to the strip that had the $20 ones because higher cost, higher reward, right? Doing that math. And he goes, all right, give me one. I'll take it. He scratches it, not a winner. Takes it, scratches, not a winner. He did $200. Yeah. Friday, his paycheck, $200, all trying to win. That same roll went for over $600 of not a single winner. Because I remember tracking because people would come in and they go, which one hasn't won in a while? I was like, oh, this one hasn't won. And so I remember it was over $600, and I think the first winner, quote unquote, was like $40 on that. Yeah. I would say, and then granted, this is purely anecdotal, and I could be wrong on this. My 2 years working there, I think the most I ever saw anyone win was $400.
And that's the main story. Yeah, it's
and I said it earlier. All those big payouts that everyone talks about, that like right down the road from us that we were driving by, there was when we sold $50,000 Powerball ticket or whatever it was, and all it was a wealth transfer from the poor to the poor. And unfortunately for the poor that do win, let alone the taxes that are taken out, let alone all that. I mean, the 30%. I people that follow me on Facebook, you saw my post that I posted about all the taxes that got taken out of my bonus. And so, like, you know how I feel about it. But I still made a good chunk, right? Even though they took 30%, it's still a good chunk. So even if they took 30 to 70% at the end of the day, still a really good chunk, more money than any of these people have ever seen before. Yeah. But the lottery will ruin your life. Yeah. And when I say, I mean you will ruin your life, because the lottery just gave you the ability to do it at light speed.
And you get
already
more,
had
more of who you are. Yeah,
exactly.
And, I mean, it's why Proverbs 20:21 says, "An inheritance gained hastily in the beginning will not be blessed in the end." It's
exactly. And I kind of wish, almost part of me wishes I had this podcast episode a month ago, because it would have really, really helped me. For those that don't know, and it's not really relevant, but I'm currently going through a job transition. One bank I work with is being merged. Position is going away, moving on to another position. It is what it is. Happens within the banking world all the time. I got offered an opportunity to take a much higher paying job, and it literally felt like winning the lottery. The amount of money they offered me was 40% more than my current salary.
Wow.
Huge, like truly life-changing amount of money. And even with that, even just thinking about the additional income, this isn't a massive lump sum, right? This is monthly income, so it's a little bit different. It was hard to reel myself back in and look at the opportunity objectively. My wife and I, we were talking. I was like, hey, with this much more money, we don't even we can max out 401k, we can max out HSA, and still have a pretty big lifestyle
play
increase.
Around. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like we could be doing all of these things. But fortunately, I had what many people who win the lottery don't have, is multitude of counselors who helped me put a lot of stuff into perspective. A lot of stuff into perspective. And so I would say, imagine if that young priest had actually been a priest and sought to make people right with God.
Oh,
what if he had brought to bear the full weight of the 8th commandment?
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things where it's like, people that engage in popcorn theology-esque type of stuff, this is where too oftentimes like the criticism comes at, is that we get our morality from movies. And this is why it's always important to go, this is why we don't get our morality from films. We always are going back to the Word of God. We're always going back to that. And that's why at the end of the day, a film like this leaves you full on first taste, but upon reflection is you get that bitter belly. The bitter stomach at the end of the day. And so, so Miles...
It's just making me laugh because I'm so down on this movie, and I did not expect it.
At the top of this, for people that are running, I said it's worth watching once.
Yep.
I think it was an enjoyable film. I think it's just one of those, the longer it sits with you and think about what the film is actually trying to say, it does kind of make you go,
and what it cultivates in you. I mean, I'm so glad you started bringing up the priest. I think there's 2 generations of priests in there.
Yeah.
And so just it's almost a summary point here, but another big point in here is that quick and easy money reveals our hearts and tempts us. It just, like, if we go back to the beginning of the movie when they didn't know who had won, Jackie's original plot was just really, I hope, to get a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
Right? So he was sucking up to all of his neighbors, all with the motive of getting their money. Like, I love this when they're at the party and they're asking him, what would you do if you were rich? What would you do if you were rich? And he leans back like this morally superior person and says, oh, I'd take what I need and treat my friends with the rest. Oh, would you? Oh, would you, Jackie? Meanwhile, what you are trying to do, what you're about to do, is to, for the middle third of the movie, he's trying to hoard all the money for himself. And the truth is that this temptation for quick and easy money has ruined friendship and tainted our relationships with people for over 3,000 years. Again, the book of Proverbs. Like, I thought of 2 Proverbs. Proverbs 19:4. Wealth brings many new friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friends.
Yes.
Similar, Proverbs 14:20. The poor is disliked even by his neighbor, but the rich has many friends.
Honestly, this brings it to mind. How many days was Ned dead?
Oh, not
how
enough
long
to,
was
like,
Ned? How long was Ned Devine dead before someone went and checked on him? And the only reason why they checked on him was because they thought he was rich.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, they kind of try to... so you always talk about how you like movies that show, don't tell.
Yeah.
They didn't show their relationship with Ned. They told. And that's one reason why it felt a little empty to me when they were talking to Ned Devine, like they were good friends.
Yeah. But they didn't check on him for several days. Even the woman who he had a child with hadn't checked in on him. Didn't know that he was dead. And maybe it was only a day. I don't know how long it was, but it felt like it was a couple days.
Little Irish village were beating up on you, but really, it just is getting felt. And then even the pastor when they talk to the kid, oh, what do you think? What do you think the priest will do? Oh, well, when he finds that the collection plate is full, he'll turn around. Oh, yeah, that's so sad for me. Like, here, I'll tell you what happens to me as a pastor myself. A guest will come into my church sometimes, and if they are finely dressed, if they look wealthy, there's a little voice that whispers, you should treat them really nice. Maybe they'll tithe. Our church is trying to grow, all these things. And it's like that voice, that evil voice needs to be fought with everything. You know, James chapter 3, show no partiality, or James chapter 2, show no partiality, right? If a man wearing gold ring and fine clothing comes into your assembly, and a poor man in shabby clothing also comes in, and if you pay attention to the one who wears fine clothing and say, you sit here in a good place, while you say to the poor man, you stand over there or sit at my feet, have you not then made distinctions among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? Like, this movie, I think one reason why it connects and why it's funny, because of the lengths they go into, is because it reveals my heart, and it reveals your heart and the hearts of the audience also, that we show partiality based on what we can get from people. The book of Proverbs has called it out. The rich has many friends, but the poor is despised even by their neighbors. And so, if you want to be edified by this movie, you should go, boy, as a Christian, when you run into this situation, you have to just come to a point where you are okay with letting go of the opportunity of millions of dollars in order to stay in the faith. Or another way to put it, Jesus asked this question of us all the time. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his own soul? Even if 51, because one died, even if 51 people agree, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his own soul? You're like, I can't believe this silly little comedy just hits you so hard. Yeah, it's...
All right. Yeah. And with that, we'll move it to an incredibly quick lightning round, honestly, because I think we kind of hit almost all the points. But Miles, I'll let you take the one that actually is a really great receive, and something that honestly we should all purposely do and publicly do it. Do it privately, but do it publicly as well.
Two really virtuous moments from Jackie. The one that you talked about, where he was willing to take the fall for what he had done. And the other when they're doing the funeral for Ned Devine, and the government man comes in, and he turns and he starts to eulogize Michael O'Sullivan right to his face.
Yeah.
And I just think, boy, we should do that more to our friends. Eulogize your friends. Good word. If you have something nice to say about your friends, if you really appreciate them, if they're the type of person who, if you got involved in a plot like this, they'd be there with you, tell them how much they mean for you. Just how much they mean to you. And eulogize them while they're still alive. And that is a really positive thing to receive from this movie. Good on you, Jackie O'Shea.
Yep, absolutely.
O'Sullivan. Michael O'Shea. Jackie O'Sullivan. Sorry.
Yeah. So until next time, keep engaging movies and media from a godly perspective. And remember, you are not a mindless consumer. Slainte.
You finished the whole Guinness.
Thanks for watching this episode of Popcorn Theology. For more content, subscribe on YouTube. Follow and interact on social media to help broaden the conversation. Check out our archive of past episodes at popcorntheology.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And consider becoming a patron saint by supporting us on Patreon, which lets you interact, influence, and enjoy exclusive bonus content.